Can I ask, how did Ric Flair get a podcast?
Wait, Ric Flair has a podcast?
Ric Flair has a podcast, ladies and gentlemen. The man who cut those promos in WCW, Tasmanian Devil promos. That man has a podcast. Like, how did Lemmy not have a podcast is my question. What the fuck? Before his death, how did we never
Lemmy
give him
had
a
a life.
podcast? How has Keith Richard never had a fucking podcast? Like,
because Keith Richards has a life.
Dude, you know what I recently, just earlier, I was finding stuff that I want to use in response to people, and I came across the one video was Ric Flair cutting a promo on Triple H. It's when they were feuding. It was like early 2000s, like 2003 or some shit. And Flair, his head was stitched, and just recently, and he just starts bashing his fucking forehead like this, and the blood was just like, oh, right the fuck out. Dude, it went from 0 to fucking like 15 layers of Crimson Mask.
Oh my god,
just like that, and motherfucker, he just like went full on barbarian, started wiping it all over himself. I was like, dude, this shit is like, it's beyond vicious, beyond broken legs Sid Vicious. It was just fucking brutal, man. I'm like,
well, it's really sad. It's got to be rough when you're Ric Flair and you're rubbing blood all over your fucking body, because you know it's got to get stuck under those moob flaps. Those fucking Jesus! That man's been wearing. He's been wrestling in a shirt since he was like 30. Like, what the fuck? How do your tits sag at 29? How does that fucking happen?
Well, thankfully, his daughter, she was smart enough to get breast implants, so she doesn't suffer from that. So, Charlotte, good on you.
She's still got his love handles, though.
She's got Flair's ass. So, like, no matter what, like, I think at the right angle, Charlotte can be pretty, but then I just think of, like, you know, Space Mountain, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, cannot. And then, like, Flair's, and it's worse because she's got the fucking coochie cutter shorts. So it's just like Flair's ass coochie cutters, like back in WCW/NWA days. And I'm just like, well, I'm officially done. I'm gonna log out here, and I'm gonna go.
Yeah, you know how the hourglass shape is presupposed to be the ideal of female beauty. Yeah, Charlotte is a straight line. Just straight. She's a barber's pole. Like, it's not even. What the fuck,
dude? I like a million times over. I'll give her credit. She's like easily the best female wrestler that's around. Like, she's a fucking beast. Like, all of her matches, 5-star quality. She owns up to the Flair name. It's just, I can see why. Like, she's definitely not currently married. So yeah, because it's just like banging Ric Flair. But if anything, it could be worse. She could be David Flair. So there's that.
It could be. The guy whose entire career did an old man flop. But anyway, let's continue.
But Mary Tyler Moore is dead.
Yeah, we managed to bury Mary Tyler Moore and the Flairs.
We did.
Yeah,
a Ric Flair flop.
I'm still lost on Ric Flair having a podcast. I mean, because a 40-year career that basically was encapsulated by woo.
Well, he has another guy who carries his ass. Basically, there's some comedian who's never gone anywhere. It's the guy who was on Roddy Piper's podcast, who was so unfunny it killed Piper. That guy. That's fucking awful.
It's like one of those jokes that hit you hard enough. You're like, oh, I've got a Charlie horse. Work that one out.